Welcome to the family with
Alex Bernard Rasmussen.
Andy Brant Bernard.
Co-host Catherine Brandt.
See? So what's up?
Did it.
So I have, everybody knows, I think, that we, well, I don't know if everybody knows, but we switched over from AT&T to Mint Mobile.
Everybody knows.
Well, I think we
Everybody
talked about
knows.
it. We talked about it on the show before, so I don't
Have you
want to
checked the headlines?
skywriting everywhere. Anyway, we switched over. I know Dad's talked about it on the show because he was pretty mad about that $200+ bill we were getting every single month.
$270.
Yeah. And then we found out that we were being billed for a line that I had called them and told them I'm switching my number because I get so much spam I can't stand my telephone anymore. And we were still paying for it a year and a half later.
Oh, fun.
Which is partially our fault because
we
weren't looking at the bill. But anyway, they didn't do what they were supposed to do. But anyway, so I switched over. This is what I don't understand about. Okay, so the cell phone. So Dad's now on Mint. I'm on Mint. Then you have to create a Mint family so I can manage his bill. We had unlimited for 3 months for $15 each. And now when the 3 months is up, we can either pay 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or a year. And you can cancel anytime, which is wonderful.
Yeah, it is.
I hate those contracts. And Dad used almost over 20 gigs.
How?
How is he doing that?
I have no
Probably doesn't ever connect to the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you must not be connected to the Wi-Fi.
Would be my guess.
That's the only way.
Why wouldn't I connect to the Wi-Fi?
Probably have your Wi-Fi turned off or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
the
a
only
lot.
thing that makes any sense.
Yeah,
Because I used 1.2 or something.
Well, see, that's the thing is like I drive 35 minutes each way to work. And I sometimes play YouTube videos in the background so I can listen to them. Mm-hmm. And even then, I almost never go above 5 in a month.
Yeah, and video takes a decent amount of gigs.
Video takes a lot of data. So to use 30 in a month, I don't
His
even know.
Wi-Fi is on.
Yeah, I don't get it. And I'm not on my phone very much.
You don't have.
Well, maybe his Wi-Fi's on, but he's not connecting to your Wi-Fi network because you have to like put in the password and stuff.
If he's not connected to the network, then.
Well, it's got a little check mark and says it is.
See?
How do I?
Tried to blame it on me, but it didn't work.
No, I'm just sometimes phones just.
Especially after there's an update, all of a sudden everything can be
Yeah,
goofy.
sometimes everything just disconnects and.
But that's a
weird.
lot of data for him because all you do really is check your Facebook nonstop.
That is a
make
lot of
phone
data.
calls.
Yeah, I almost wonder if there's like some sort of malicious service running in the background. I'd wipe his phone and just restart anew.
I'm terrified of doing that.
You can go into your cellular data on your settings. If you go into settings,
You can see what apps are using
you
it.
go into cellular.
Okay, going into cellular. Let's follow. Let's do it right now.
Okay, I'm in
People
settings.
want you to put our pictures up, by the way, so they can see us.
Oh,
cellular data options. Roaming is off.
No, you don't go into options. You just go into cellular, and then you scroll down.
Okay.
It says current period roaming, and then apps by usage, and it says sort by name, and then it has the apps that you use most data. So like for me, my Safari uses the most data because you like look stuff up and whatever.
Sort by name.
She's sorting by name right now.
One by One Health.
Or you can sort by usage.
Yeah.
And then it does how little the ones that use more or less, or you can sort by name. It doesn't matter. But then it tells you what uses data, and you can turn off like if he doesn't use,
Well, you don't use the Apple Store, do you?
No.
17.9 megabytes.
well, that's like nothing. 17 megabytes is virtually
Astronomy?
Astronomy?
Audio jack?
Who the hell's been using my phone?
you can turn all those
I
off.
don't turn any of those on.
If you turn them off, you can still use them on Wi-Fi. You just can't use them when you're using data. So if it's something that's just kind of like on in the background, and close all his apps too, because maybe there's some weird.
There were a lot of apps open.
Yeah.
But why? I don't open them.
Fitbit. You haven't owned a Fitbit in 4 years.
I know, what's
You
that
could
going
probably
on?
delete some apps as well.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
She's literally going through dozens of them.
Here we
I
go.
don't know, but iFit is my phone, so you can't turn that off. My watch.
Minnesota fat loss.
I'm not with them anymore.
Mobile pass. What's that?
We probably don't need to do this on the air. If I have to say.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I didn't know it was going to be. I did not turn any of that stuff on. Does it come on automatically or something?
Pancheros. How many times do you go to Pancheros?
Never.
I ordered Pancheros on your phone once.
Oh,
So that's
app's
why it
been
popped up.
open ever since.
So you have to shut them down after every use?
no, not
Not
necessarily.
every use, but
I don't know. I don't think that any of this is the problem.
Okay, well, let's do the show then, just for the hell of it. But I thought it was a pretty good first 13 minutes of the show. So didn't you think?
Oh, we've
think so?
only
It's
been
all
on for
very
7
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What do you? Everything she's checking is open.
Yeah, we've got
Everything.
a lot of shit
Every
going
single app on there will be green because that's each app that you download is like, I will use data as
Yep.
well if I need to.
Yeah,
You
every
have
app
to-
these days comes with a service that runs in the background no matter what. You don't have to open it. The
Great.
service is just on all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so now his North American banking, which he uses all the time.
All the time.
That I thought you could tell the apps to only be on when you're using them. Oh no, that's location services. Okay, so this one actually needs to be on probably because you use that a lot.
Okay, let's do the show now.
All right.
We're moving on.
Jesus.
So what time's Timmy coming on?
15 after.
15, yeah.
Quarter after. Okay. So what else is happening in the world? Anything? Just give me my phone here. You're going to be on it the rest of the day.
I'm doing this.
Well, we're doing the show now.
I
Honey.
can do this and do the
Oh,
show.
yeah. Okay.
Task? Oh, no.
Multi-talented.
Oh, no. I'm trapped.
You're trapped.
I am. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're good.
So what's happening?
It was sick. The high got up to 66 degrees yesterday.
That's what I heard.
Ethan went out biking twice, ran around in the yard. He definitely enjoyed yesterday.
Yeah, I told the kids when we got home, I was like, you have to be outside until bedtime.
Yeah. That's
Okay,
basically what happened
Really
yesterday
necessary.
with
And
us
then
too.
we pulled into our neighborhood and they saw that our neighbors were out in their yard. They're like
Mhm.
an older couple and they were
Right.
in their driveway. And Fawn was like, "Stop the car!" We weren't in our driveway. We were on our street. And she was like, "Stop the car!" And I was like, "What?" And she opens the door and runs to them. And then she goes into the house and lets the dogs out, and they run to the neighbors. And it was just like,
It's spring.
nice socialization. And they played basketball in their driveway for about an hour. And then other neighbor kids came home from school, and then they all played. And then they had a snowball fight with the, 4-foot area that had snow left. It was great. I took the dogs for a run. It was lovely.
Sounds great.
It is lovely. But I tell you something that I've learned in the last several months. The number one topic that people love us talking about is your children, both of you.
That is true.
All three of your children, that they love hearing about them and what they do. You put that video up of him trying to attack me on his bike.
Oh God.
Ethan trying to attack me
Yep.
on his bike. People love that stuff.
I calmed him down on the plane by showing him that video.
Oh, you did?
The
times.
video of
That was fun.
himself chasing you like a couple, 6 hours prior, not even.
He's like, that was great. Remember that?
Yeah.
It
Did
was
love
great.
that.
Well,
Sorry,
So-
you're never
so-
going to see a video of my children on the podcast.
So now that he's like so amazingly balanced with his little balanced bike thing, can he do the bigger one? Is that what he was doing?
Yeah. He's not
Really?
fast, but
Yeah. Oh my
he
gosh.
does
The
it.
first time Fawn went on the Strider bike, she took maybe centimeter steps.
yeah.
She had never been on any other bike type apparatus
Right,
that took
right.
any balance at all. So she literally it was like,
Yep. Well, and I mean, he also kept stopping to step on snow and collect leaves, and he had to go over every manhole. That sort of
Oh,
thing.
sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
he likes to
thank
go
you.
over things.
there's nothing that takes more patience than a family walk with a toddler.
Yep.
Oh, I remember just
Not
taking
fast.
your park is how far away from your house, Alex?
A
Quarter mile?
Yeah.
It would take almost an hour because Fawn had to look at every ant
Oh yeah.
pick up every rock.
What's the phrase? The journey is
It's not the journey, it's the not the destination,
It's
it's
the journey.
journey.
Yep.
There you go.
With her,
Yep.
it was like, well, now we don't have any time to be at the park, so
know.
let's turn around and do it all over
I
again.
know. I thought about taking them to the park yesterday, and I was like, I'm taking the dogs for a run, and we're going to take the dogs for a walk again. Like the kids, they refused to put jackets on for school. They were like, no, it's too beautiful outside. I was like,
thought it was-
38 degrees.
Oh, I thought
They're
it was
like,
turning
beautiful.
cold.
It's sunny and beautiful, and I'm like, okay, whatever. They both
Tomorrow's
have
getting
jackets. They both
What?
have jackets at school. Yeah, it's supposed to be 25 tomorrow.
Yeah. Yep.
But then it's
But-
going up again back into the 50s and the 60s.
Yep.
That's nice.
Today's
what
the
I heard.
cold day, and tomorrow is coldish, and then it's going to get.
Tomorrow's the cold day. Tomorrow
Oh.
it's supposed to be like 23.
Oh, today was supposed to be the cold day. It's not
Now
anymore.
No, now it's like 35
Oh,
and sunny though.
yeah,
But
it's nice.
because that matters so much if there's
Mhm.
sun and no
Yep.
wind.
It sure does.
Feels so much warmer when there's sun and no wind. If there's no sun and wind, it's like 35 can feel real cold.
Yes.
Yeah, the dogs. Oh my gosh, I took them for their first run in a while, and Birch just was on the couch for the rest of the evening, just like happy and tired. He's just like, oh, I feel great. He was just a puddle
Yeah.
dog. Oh, and the kids have been asking for a tiny dog.
Oh no.
I'm on board
You
with
have a tiny dog.
tiny dog. Because Fawn has a friend that has 3 dogs. They are all 10 pounds and under. And Fawn is like, I want a dog that I can carry around and will like sleep in my
Carrie
bed.
May.
Not really.
Really?
May's solid.
Yeah, but she doesn't weigh that much.
She weighs probably 20 something pounds.
Does she?
What? No,
She
20?
seems so itty
18?
bitty.
Daisy weighs 20.
Yeah,
Daisy's much bigger than her, isn't she?
not really, no.
Huh.
Oh yes.
And
Oh,
May's like jacked.
No, May's muscular. Daisy isn't.
Yeah, terriers.
It's like Jude, floppiest, least muscular dog you could find.
What?
Yep.
Oh, solid muscle.
He's
He's
a
all flop.
beast.
He's all
I'm looking
flop.
at him right now. He's nothing but muscle.
The least athletic dog.
What?
Our
He's agile.
somebody in the building that I used to see all the time, and they had 2 Cavaliers, and they both got old and died, and now they have a teeny weeny long-haired Chihuahua puppy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, it's so cute, and
know,
it's
it's
sweet, and it's nice. It doesn't like bite you and growl at you. It's like
yeah.
a nice dog.
Yeah, Oliver, Fawn's friend, they have a Chihuahua. He's elderly, and he just loves me. Every time I go over there, I just hold him because he weighs 4 or 5 pounds. And I just hold him. He wears a little sweater because he gets cold. And I just hold him the whole time. And he's just like happy to just be, I don't have to pet him. I don't have to do anything. He's just like, put me in your hand.
What was
I
that?
remember this one
what was
time-
that comedian with the Chihuahua? Puff the Magic Dragon guy, or what was his
Yeah,
name?
Puff the Magic Dragon.
He
yep.
had that long-haired Chihuahua.
Yeah,
It was a
yep.
really sweet dog.
I remember this one time at Brockton Hill Tack. Someone, was it a customer?
No,
who-
there was a person that lived right next to Brockton Hill
It
Tech
was the
that
person
had
who lived
teacup
Teacup
chihuahuas.
Chihuahua. And I remember it must have been, it was like 2 pounds.
Yeah, so
It was
tiny.
the smallest dog I've ever seen
I
in
think
my
they
life.
bred them, if
Yeah.
I remember, because there were
Oh.
like 3 or 4 of them.
Yep, I remember.
Well, if
They
you can
brought one
find-
over one time and you were like, look, it's the Teacup Chihuahua. And I was like, wow, that is
I
a
know they're so cute.
That's
very
a-
small dog.
That's a chipmunk.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd be afraid to have a dog like that.
Yeah,
One
so
wrong
small.
move and
I know.
just step on it.
I'm like 5 pounds is as low as I can.
Yeah, for
but
real.
we found a tiny Chihuahua mix, and she's so cute. She's so close to our house, and I'm like, kids, why did you do this to me? Because Fawn was like, I'm going to search up dogs we could adopt,
Mm,
and then we ended up finding
you've
this dog.
got birds of prey, and you've got
Yeah.
coyotes in your backyard. You might want to rethink having.
I would
tiny
never want a
dog.
dog that a hawk or an owl could just carry away.
Ooh, that
Yeah,
would not
you have
be good.
owls.
Mhm.
We do have an owl that hangs out. In
Yeah,
our
we
yard
have
in
we
the
have 2
summer
Yeah.
great horned owls.
for fall.
So
I think it would have to be at least 5 or 7 pounds, maybe, for a owl.
I don't know
would
what the
not.
cutoff
Yeah,
is.
what's their carrying
I've
capacity?
I've looked it up before, and I don't remember because Bella was 9.
Because a friend of mine,
let's see, an owl, great
she was
horned
walking
owl.
her puppy. It was I don't remember what kind of dog it was, but it was a puppy. And on the lead, an eagle came down and tried to eat it.
Oh,
Yikes! That
Mm.
eagle must have been
It got it up about 7 feet and then dropped it.
A great
Everybody
hound
was
owl
screaming.
can carry looks like 8 is like their maximum capacity.
Okay.
So they wouldn't even try to carry something over that.
Yeah, that would
and
be like
8,
if they're desperate.
well, I mean, a great horned owl only weighs like 4 or 5 pounds. So, I mean, that would be like going to the grocery store and picking up a 300-pound steak.
Yeah.
You got to be pretty
true.
hungry to put that amount of effort
Yeah,
into
like try to.
into your meal. Yeah.
Well, I wonder what a squirrel can carry because I just saw one when I was walking Jude with a giant piece of pizza trying to climb
Yeah.
up
You
a
see
tree.
squirrels with pizza all the time in West
like
Palm Beach.
dragging.
Yep.
You know, it's
That's
like
true.
I took a picture of that one day in Minneapolis. A squirrel was just eating a piece of pizza on the sidewalk.
Yeah, why are people discarding pizza on the sidewalk?
I don't know.
I
They
don't
get
And
out
the
of
chicken
garbage.
bones.
The squirrel probably pulled it out of somewhere.
like garbage can. Yeah, absolutely.
know.
People just throw away pizza and then
I
squirrel eats it.
suppose.
Can you imagine finding a piece of pizza as a squirrel?
Jackpot.
It's like that scene
Yeah.
in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids where they find the Oreo.
Yeah,
We'll be eating for days.
we watched that with our kids. This not that long ago. We had a movie night and we watched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and I was like, I forgot how great this movie is.
When was it? It was 89. It's got to be one of the first movies I ever watched.
No,
It's a great movie.
89? I was only 3 years old when it came out.
That was a really good movie.
well, I wasn't even born when it came out.
Exactly.
You had just been born, I
Or just
think.
been born.
Wow, it's that
Depending on
old?
what month it came out.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
Wow.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids came out in June. So you were a few months old.
Yeah.
Old enough. It's rated G, I think.
Well, I'm not getting another dog until I am so old I don't want to leave my house.
Yeah,
Then
I
I'll
mean,
get a Chihuahua.
Melissa,
Perfect.
she keeps talking about another dog, and I'm like, I don't know.
You've got a toddler and a
Toddler and a cat and a dog.
cat
It's,
and a
it's
dog.
plenty.
It's a lot.
Listen, I gotta play the devil's advocate. I never in my life would have one dog ever again. After
No?
having two, never. They're buddies.
Yeah, they do play.
They hang out
together
with
a
each
lot.
other. They play with each other. If they're bored, May goes and chomps at Birch, and then they run around and play. Like
Daisy's
can't
not a
even-
player, though.
I can't even imagine.
Daisy doesn't play. She doesn't like dogs.
No, she does not like dogs.
No.
That's
She's
true.
weird.
Yeah.
Jude and Daisy are both like antisocial
They are. They just
Yeah.
kind of do their own
Like,
thing, and
exist.
sometimes they'll like.
because they're only children.
Sometimes they'll sniff each other and go their separate ways for the next 8 hours.
That's because they're only children.
Yep. it's
That's what
true.
happens to only children. I had a big conversation. My friend Paige came over on Friday night, and she's an only child, and we had tea and a cheese plate, and we had a long conversation about how being an only child makes you weird.
Mm.
Just weird.
She's like, I agree.
Darren says there's a squirrel in his neighborhood who gets pizza at least 3 times a week, and he doesn't know where that squirrel is getting all this pizza. It's got to be like they
Maybe
know
he's
that
got,
the
maybe he's got an
dumpster.
app.
Yeah.
I think it's like the dumpster outside of Domino's or whatever. They
Yeah.
know that like
Yep.
this is where you
Oh.
get pizza. So
Absolutely.
when they're hungry, they just go get a slice of pizza. Why not?
Absolutely.
Jeez, I wonder if they
Jim-
get diabetes.
I was gonna say the cholesterol of that
Oh God,
squirrel.
I'm sure they don't live terribly long eating pizza all day. Eating a slice of pizza twice the size of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim brings up a good point. Do you think you could ever foster a dog without adopting it immediately?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what Jim said. He said, I fostered a dog and adopted it within a week.
Yeah, I'd be a foster failure
Yep,
in a day.
me
probably.
too.
The only thing that I think I could probably foster a dog if I didn't have young children.
Yeah,
And
because they would put the pressure on you to keep the dog.
yes.
Oh God, yeah. And there's
And
no
just-
way a kid
And
could.
just like, rescues a lot of time come with baggage, and you get attached, and I don't know. I'm like, maybe when I'm older I could foster dogs. I've thought about it. I don't know.
Joyce in our building, I ran into her. She, her dog died, and she got a rescue, and it was through a good 3 months before 4 months before it settled in. She was like, it was really rough the first couple of months.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because like the woman that fostered Birch before we got him, she was like, he doesn't know how to do stairs because he was a stray in Arkansas. She was like, he does not understand stairs. He's horrified of thunder and lightning. She had him for only 2 weeks. She's like, he's horrified of thunder and lightning. He has a really hard time with wood floors.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And there was one other thing. Oh, and he hates car rides. Absolutely hates car rides. I was like, and we were like, okay, like these are things that make sense for a dog that
Yep.
was a stray a month ago.
Mhm.
You like, whatever. We got him. Literally, has never cared about a thunderstorm in his life.
Mm.
The car ride, like we brought him home, and he laid there and fell asleep, perfectly fine. He did for a while have a hard time with hardwood floors.
I seem to recall him being weird at our house one time about like the kitchen, what the kitchen's floor was made of or something like that. Like he wouldn't go in there because of the floor type.
Yeah, he was a little weird about floors for a while because he would slip.
Yeah.
And so it made him, he has a tremor. So I don't know if that contributes to the slippage, but I don't know. And then what's the other thing that I said that he didn't like? Oh, stairs. He went up the stairs.
Oh.
He's never had a problem with the stair.
Huh.
And I was like, that's really interesting that she said all this stuff about him. And then we brought him home and like none of it was a problem other than being weird on floor.
I think they know when it's a forever home
Yeah.
and they're happy.
Well, yeah. And they know when you're not going to keep them too, I think, because I have a couple friends that have adopted dogs and then returned them. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's
Well, if
on
had a
you.
dog- well, no, if you had a dog that was going to bite or was crapping everywhere.
Sometimes you don't know.
Everywhere.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, I have one situation in particular that I'm like, you did this. Like, this dog could have been perfectly comfortable here, but you didn't listen to what they told you to do. And then the dog became aggressive because it got nervous.
Yeah.
It was basically like they adopted a dog and they were like, don't take the dog anywhere for 2 weeks. Don't put it in the car. Like, just stay at home. They brought the dog to the cabin. They brought the dog to friends' houses, all this stuff. And every single time the dog got in the car, it got more and more resistant. And then it snapped at the guy.
Oh,
And then they're like, we have to return. He's getting aggressive. And I'm like, this dog doesn't want to be brought anywhere. Like, this dog is like, you're probably going to return me every single time you get in the car. Like, he just wants to settle in.
Oh, yeah.
there you have it. I just saw a headline in the Star Tribune this morning. Makes me very, very sad. I don't know what had the same effect on you guys, but maybe. Macy's to close 150 stores amid slip in sales as it steps up luxury business. Because Nana was just talking to me the other day about there was a Macy's like 3 blocks from here and they tore it down.
There's a Macy's at the Ridgedale
yeah.
View, whatever mall,
Yeah.
right?
It doesn't surprise me at all because every single time I've been in Macy's in the last 5 to 10 years, it's been a dumpster fire.
Really? Like,
Yeah?
well, how? Why?
Like, there's just, it's like, you know, when you, like, Kohl's. You go into a
Yeah.
Kohl's a lot of the time. Stuff's just kind of like strewn about.
Yep.
No one's there to help you. Does anyone work here? Why is nothing in or any sort of organization at all? Like, it just, I don't know. The last few times
Changing
I've been-
rooms are dirty.
Yeah, like they're
Really?
just not well kept at all. So
No.
this doesn't surprise me.
Well, this makes me very sad, though, because as a boy, being a little boy, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade was a very, very big deal to a little kid.
I'm sure they'll still do that. They make huge money on that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That's
they
not
do?
going anywhere.
They're probably eventually going to become the Macy's Parade Company and just not even have stores.
Don't even have stores anymore.
Seriously, would not surprise me.
It's absolutely going to happen.
Yeah.
Macy's will
I
close
wonder-
100. What?
Oh, you go ahead.
Macy's will close 150 unproductive namesake stores over the next 3 years, including 50 by the end of 2024. The department store operator said Tuesday after posting a fourth quarter loss and declining sales. People
Macy's
do not go to Macy's anymore.
Parade had a record audience last year, so
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
still going up.
Yeah, Macy's is the parade's not. Even if every Macy's in the world shuts down, the parade's still going to happen.
28.5 million viewers across airings.
Jeez, that's amazing.
They probably
Why
don't
their
even make
sales
money
down?
on their stores. Their stores are supported by the parade.
Absolutely.
Why don't people go to Macy's anymore?
Because they
'Cause-
buy clothes online or they just go to, like, Old Navy or whatever.
And it's just like a badly
Well,
managed store.
I mean, the only time I've been into a department store in the last year. Okay, so I went. If you have to find a gown or something for a wedding,
Yeah.
you go to the stores. You kind of have to try those things on. You can't just order them and hope because you might have to try on 10 different things before you find something that's nice
Yeah.
or that looks good on you. Back to school, we went to Macy's.
That's always fun.
And the kids went wild and bought a bunch of stuff, and it was all really deeply discounted, so it was
Yeah.
definitely not
But
too expensive to go
Do
to
you remember
Macy's.
how long it took for you to check out at that Macy's with Fawn?
Yes.
Sage and I had walked to Gap. We left because we were like, this is taking too long. And Sage didn't really find anything at Macy's that he liked, but Fawn found a bunch of stuff. So I was like, Mom and Fawn, you stay here. I'm going to take Sage to Gap to get him some clothes, and then we'll meet up afterwards. We went to Gap. Sage tried on a bunch of clothes. This is a 5-year-old boy. Tried on a bunch of clothes. We checked out by the time that there wasn't even a line.
No, there was nobody there. The woman
By the
couldn't
time-
figure out how to apply the sales prices to certain things.
This is what I'm saying about Macy.
Yeah. It was really terrible.
It was
Used to be a great store. Back when I was your age, it was
I
a
can
great
still
store.
find stuff in Macy's, but I hardly ever go there just because, like she said, it's just nobody is there to help you. And when you do want to check out, you have to be like, hello, hello, hello.
Yeah.
Does anybody work here? Here. I mean, it's ridiculous. And so back to school. If you need something formal or a dress or something fancy for a wedding or whatever. And then I also go to the Nordstrom's store in their anniversary sale.
Oh, yeah. So
I usually order everything online, though, and then I go return it. And sometimes look for the items I'm returning in a different size or color or something because
I just want to know how much it cost him to get the float of himself at the parade this year.
Yeah. Talk about, I think Macy's, they got a whole ahead of this whole, how people sponsor things now, like everything is sponsored on TV.
Yep.
Yeah.
Macy's was probably the ones that originated that, if you think about it, because
Yeah.
Macy's parade has been around for decades.
When did the Macy's parade start?
Oh my God.
Oh, a long time.
Before
Gotta
I
be
was
like
born, I
the
think.
50s.
But apparently it's not enough to get people in the stores seeing that
Yeah.
name recognition. It's the one I know there's one. I think there's one at Ridgedale
There
and
is.
certainly at the Mall of America.
Yep.
And I would imagine as revenue shrinks, you got to remember those stores are still huge. So now all of a sudden you got one person who used to cover this area now has to cover this wide area. So you can't find help or whatever, I would imagine. I don't know. It's too bad that they're shutting stores. I don't get it. I don't like grocery shopping, but shopping, it's kind of fun. You get out, you stroll, you stretch your legs. I don't know why.
It's a fun winter activity.
Yeah, well, it is now. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, when I was a kid, that's what we used to do is we would take the trip all the way out to the Macy's and you would just look at stuff for a couple hours. And that's what I associate department stores with is being a kid, because that's the last time I really ever went into one
And
is
getting Orange Julius's or whatever.
Jamba Juice.
Jamba Juice, yes.
Yeah, my mom bringing us to department stores and looking at all the stuff, and we'd always buy a bunch of stuff, bring it home. We did it maybe a couple times a
It
year.
was probably back to school and
Probably.
Yeah.
And Christmas
summer
time.
stuff. Yep.
And you got to remember growing up on a farm and going into the big city when I was a kid was a big deal.
It was a big
I
deal.
mean, we might have, generally it was the Buffalo Theater that we'd go see films, but once in a while, maybe once or twice a year, we'd go to downtown Minneapolis and go to the Skyway, and then afterwards go across the street to Dinopolis.
Oh, sure.
And
yum,
that
yum.
was a big deal.
For sure.
That was a big deal. So getting out and driving to Ridgedale, it's like, wow, this is, I sound like a greenhorn, and yeah, I'm a greenhorn, but I'm proud of it, man. It was fun. And that's why things are so meaningful to me now.
Mhm.
Maybe that's why I do the whole movie thing, because it was a special time when I was growing up, because you just didn't go that often.
No.
Oh, by the way, this is going to be the 100th parade this year.
Wow.
It is?
Years?
Wow.
Centennial, yep.
That's
Holy
crazy.
smokes. You're right. I heard you before I came on talking about how it's just going to be the Macy's parade and that's
Yes.
it. There's not going to be anything else.
They
That's
make those
sad.
balloons in one of the Dakotas.
They do? Well, I
Yep.
guess that's where they got the space to make them.
Yeah, that's where they manufacture those big balloons. I don't know if it's South Dakota or North Dakota. I don't know why we were talking to somebody that knew all about the Macy's Day Parade. Maybe it was a guest.
This
Yeah.
site says that they're made in the official Macy's Parade Studio in New Jersey.
No. Well, maybe they've changed. That was
So
a few years ago.
Did this news come down today then about them shutting stores? Or
Yep, it's in the headline in the Star Tribune. Macy's to close 150 stores amid dip in sales.
Yeah, do you remember? I mean, you used to go downtown as a kid.
Oh, yeah, when I was a little boy,
And
6,
go to
7, 8 years
Dayton's.
old. Yep.
I remember taking the bus from Golden Valley, which is right next to Minneapolis.
Yes.
I'd have to transfer
Oh my
on
god.
Theodore Worth
Sure,
Parkway because
yep.
we didn't have a bus that went, what is it, 8 miles?
Yeah, I'm not even.
Maybe.
Into the city, maybe 8 miles. We didn't have a bus service back in those days. As a 14-year-old girl, getting on the bus with my friends and going downtown shopping, I would never in a million years let a kid go shopping with a friend. No way.
Well,
Not in a million years.
An example of that, when I was 9 years old, I used to go downtown by myself all the time, and no one ever bothered me.
Nobody ever bothered us either.
Because I lived about 1.5 miles, 2 miles from downtown in North Minneapolis on Plymouth Avenue. Nobody ever bothered me. I walked down there, see everything, and I'd walk back home. It was just fine.
I remember wearing our elephant pants and our rib knit shirts.
What are elephant pants? I don't even know what that
Just
is.
what they call wide leg jeans now.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes, they were.
Bell
Parachute
bottoms?
pants?
What?
Not bell bottoms, the whole leg.
Oh.
No, the whole leg was big.
Oh, the whole leg.
The
Wow.
whole leg.
Oh,
Elephant pants. Oh my God, I had to have a pair. Had to. Brushed denim.
Just
Still
like
remember.
we had to have parachute pants in the 80s.
Mm.
Oh, God.
Parachute
What a world.
pants.
I
I've
never
actually
wore
seen-
Zubas, though. I never wore Zubas. That's why.
Tom
I
lived
did.
in Zubas for what, 15 years?
It wasn't 15 years,
Yeah, it was a
about
good
2
15
or 3
years.
years.
It was basically, it was pajamas.
That's because of Hawk and Animal. Hawk and Animal owned the
were
company, and they were
pajamas.
friends of mine. So I supported my friends.
No,
that's
that's
all
what
I
it
know.
was.
I didn't know that. Wow, that's interesting. I
Yeah.
didn't know-
Yeah.
Wow. Well, then
Tom,
they hit it big, didn't they, with those? Because those
Yes,
were
they
huge.
did. Yep.
My nephew, who is in his 20s, he still wears those.
Oh, does he?
What?
Yeah, he loves Zubas. They're
Parachute
still
pants?
around.
Oh,
You can
I was
find
like-
them. You can still find them somewhere.
Yeah, you can find anything if you look hard enough.
Yeah.
Well, things
Zubas.com,
come back
I'm sure.
around. Things come back around, and they're popular again. So, hey, I got a text from Tommy. You guys saw Nyad, huh?
Loved it.
Yeah, it didn't sound like it was going to be good. And the first 15 minutes of it, I was like, this is going to be a huge snore fest. Because Anne's character, what was
Annette Bennings.
Annette Benning's character? Her kind of monotone, kind of bitchy demeanor was a
Oh, this
little
is a swimming
off-putting.
movie.
Yeah.
The swimming movie.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
And
Yes.
it turned into like such an interesting movie. I
Phenomenal.
mean, how
I
many
loved it.
people it took to do that, and how she was an abrasive, kind of obnoxious human being, and how her team turned on her, and
Well, and
how many
also
it
the-
took. How many? I mean, it's an older movie now. We're not doing any spoilers, I'm guessing.
No, it came out. Might have been November or something. It was Netflix original.
Yeah, and how many attempts she had to make to do that, and all the sea creatures that are trying to kill you all the time,
Yeah,
and how they got around all that.
True.
And how
But I-
that woman had some balls. I don't know
Well-
how else to put it. She had some-
And you talk about her demeanor, though. I mean, there are things that came out in that movie
Sure.
that were very tragic, and you can
Yes.
kind of understand why she was the way she
yeah,
was.
yeah, totally understandable. But you didn't know that at first, so you
Right.
just thought she was just kind of a
Right.
self-absorbed meanie pants, and
Mm.
But even if when people go through trauma and all that stuff, it does explain it, but it doesn't make the person more likable.
Right. Well-
in a way.
Yeah. And then also, how great is Jodie frickin' Foster,
She
man?
is terrific.
Oh,
She is really
man,
good.
she is so good. She is so good. So both of them have been nominated. Those are the only two nominations I got. Annette got lead actress, best actress nomination for the Oscars and the SAG Awards. Same with Jodie.
Well,
Supporting.
They
Supporting.
both were great, so I can see
And
it.
and it's one of those, I'm sorry, you can't help but tear up at the end there. And I
Yeah,
love the
yep.
real footage. I love all that sort of stuff. And as you noticed during the film, I mean, they actually spliced in real footage of her swimming in there too.
Mhm.
And so it was an interesting way of going about it, but I really loved it. It just, again, despite the tragedy, I mean, it really is a feel-good movie at the end. I mean, there's no denying that.
What's interesting is I talked to a friend of mine who's a big swimmer. He used to be a competitive swimmer, as a matter of fact, many, many years ago. And I asked him, because I think Catherine's the first one who pointed it out, as she was walking up toward the shore in Key West, a guy went out and tried to grab her to help her,
No.
which I guess he said would have negated the whole thing. It would not have counted.
Well, how stupid.
I know. Well, they really played up that aspect
Yeah.
in the movie because, again, spoiler. Yeah, I mean, people, if you know, I'm not a big swimming guy. I've never followed long distance swimming or short for that matter, but I will say that I knew who Diana Nyad was or
Sure.
is,
I did
Yep.
not.
and so there are certain things. I mean, it makes complete sense. If you touch them, then that is seen as aiding the swimmer.
Well, okay. How about when Jodie Foster was feeding her pasta as she's floating on her
Well,
back?
But you didn't touch her.
But I mean, what
touch
happens
her.
if she accidentally touched a tooth? I mean, that's it. Gotta go back.
Okay, what is this about? You not being able to touch what?
She
See,
swam
when
110
She
miles.
swam from Cuba to Key West.
Yeah.
And it was straight through, which that's the thing that surprised me. I thought she's going to have to take breaks to
Nope.
go to the bathroom, eat, drink proper water, rest, something. Nope, it was straight through, which
But
is
what-
mind-boggling.
What's
why
the
can't you
problem
touch
about
the-
being touched tooth?
Yeah, it doesn't
What?
make sense.
I don't.
You can't touch the
You
swimmer.
cannot touch
No
the
one can
swimmer.
touch the swimmer the entire way.
But you can follow them around in a boat
Why?
and feed them. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that doesn't
That's
make
a
any
stupid
sense.
rule.
Well,
It makes no
That's
sense.
dumb.
Well, I mean, and that was a lot more involved than I imagined it would be. I mean, they got the boat next to them, and there's divers or whatever just in case. And
yeah.
actually, yeah, didn't they have a couple divers go in to
Yes,
back
because
away
the
shark?
anti-sharky thing wasn't working for a minute, so they were out there with like a ping pong ball and a stick. Oh, yay, that's gonna help.
It worked.
Thanks.
Well, the fact of the matter is that she did something extraordinary, and boy, you feel
Yep.
it. The emotion, you feel that emotion at the end of the movie, and
yeah.
yeah,
Well-
I have to see it again. I've only seen it once, but what a great movie.
And the other thing that was weird is, okay, so she swam from Cuba to Florida. It's never been done before. Who is the overseer who makes the rules about whether or not it's a proper swim? Like
Well,
the
it's-
touching and the
I guess
all
it's
that.
the honor system in that sort of way. I mean, you have a bunch. How many people? How big was the team? Because again, you had the
Well, she had an-
divers, you had the captain of the boat,
Right.
you had
Captain.
Jodie as the trainer.
navigator, trainer, and the two shark guys and the jellyfish woman. So six, I think.
Yeah, so it's I guess the honor system, and you would think that if somebody cheated somewhere along the line, somebody won't keep that secret, and
Right.
But-
right.
you know,
But if you swam the whole entire way and you got out and you said, you know what, she touched my tooth accidentally while she was feeding me pasta. Oh,
Yeah.
forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you. Can,
Like you call that just like an
if
accomplishment?
I were the rule maker, I would let that one slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I was treading water by the boat talking about, my jellyfish sting on my ankle, and I accidentally touched the boat. She couldn't touch the boat either.
Yeah,
She couldn't
it's-
touch the boat. It's like
It's
how a
insanity.
wave
Has to
wouldn't
be-
smashed me into the boat. I mean, geez.
Yeah, well, and then also
It's
too,
failure.
I mean, there's storm. What didn't they call one of the
Yeah.
attempts because of
Yep.
a nasty storm?
Yep, she had to go back, and she didn't want to, but they kind of made her.
So you have to see Jodie Foster in True Detective Night Country now.
Yeah, we watched a couple episodes
Oh,
already.
that's right. We forgot about that.
No,
We need
people
to
are-
start watching that again.
I've heard
Yeah,
some people be like, it's not good.
Some people, yeah, you know what? This is the first True Detective season that I've seen, so I don't have any of the others to compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
The
So
first
I
one was Woody
found this fascinating.
Harrelson and Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey,
And that was a good one.
hmm and apparently the second was terrible,
Yeah.
and the third one was okay. And so now I'll probably go back, but for stuff to fall off, I get it because I finished that, but obviously I'm watching Capote versus the Swans, and that's
Oh God,
weekly.
yes.
That is
Oh,
really
yeah.
good.
So you gotta, at least with that, it's week to week, so you gotta wait for those and kind of either mark it on a calendar in your brain that it's coming up on Thursday. And I think there's how many they've been through now? 4 or 5?
5, I think.
5. Yeah.
3 more to go. I think
Yeah.
there are 8 of them.
And I really hope that they get if this is typifies how good the feud seasons are.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
cannot wait for the next because it's been 7 years since that first one.
Right. Right.
So they can't do another 7-year stretch. They got to find something else. And I guess I was somewhat taken aback when I heard it was Capote versus the Swans. First of all, because I never heard of the Swans.
Right.
And then that's why it's fascinating, though, because you do discover these high society people that Capote effectively hated, you know, because he grew up poor and just he was always the outsider looking in, and he turned their back on him in a way. And now we're going to find out whether he died a lonely man or whether they reconciled, you
Well,
know.
he wasn't exactly a lovable man either.
No, no, not at all.
Wasn't exactly.
Not at all.
No.
But my God, what a great show that is. So I haven't found anything that's really grabbed me since that point. I did start watching Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which is with Donald Glover, and Maya Erskine is her name. She is Mrs. Smith and Donald is Mr. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And first couple episodes is slow and really awkward at times, but the third episode it starts to get really entertaining. So I really like that. I really like that too. So there's some good stuff. It's reliable, you know. Granted, you got a lot more choices, but going to the theater every week, it's not necessarily a gimme that you're going to see a good movie. So, but I did tell Tommy, Ordinary Angels with that fella. Apparently, you liked it when Reacher took his shirt off. Is that what it was?
Yeah, Catherine.
You like that?
Yeah.
Well,
She goes,
he
yeah.
keeps his shirt on here, but
Aw.
sorry. But it's an extraordinary true story. It's a faith-based movie, actually, but it's not a preachy, wag your finger sort of go to church movie. It is more just about goodness and people doing good without being asked to do good, just out of the, you know, being giving of their own heart and stuff like that. And Hilary Swank is in it, and Nancy Travis and Alan Rich, and it's a terrific movie.
Yeah, we want to see that one. I tell you, for Andy and Alex, you probably never seen Reacher.
Nope.
The guy who plays Reacher is about 6'4". He's a professional weightlifter back in the day. This boy is put together. When he takes his shirt off in about the 4th episode, even I had to get out of the room. I was like, my God.
You're watching him and you feel kind of inadequate.
Yeah, you kind of feel inadequate. That's very, very true.
Well,
I think, I got to be honest with you, television is the best it's ever been.
It certainly is. And,
It is.
you know, these shows still cost a lot of money to make, but not as much. And, you know, it just seems that they're throwing money at movies, just trying to make them work. And most of the time, even if they spend $300 million, they don't work.
That's true.
And here, I guess maybe the biggest advantage, and this isn't anything novel to streaming shows, but anytime you have a great TV show, it's about the writing. It's about being able to stretch that story out and fill in those holes that you can't fill in those blanks in that compressed 2-hour time period. So maybe that's why. Maybe because they're getting time to breathe and tell an actual story and not being limited by the number of episodes. They could do 7 episodes. It's so weird how these things are. They come out and it's like, yeah, okay, well, there's only 5. Well, there's only 7, or there's 9, or whatever. There's no parameters, which I really like too. I mean, they want to tell the story they want to tell. They get the adequate amount of time to do it, and it works.
It doesn't. One thing that is kind of sad, and going back to, you know, Capote versus the Swans and Reacher and all the rest of it, they're very, very sad and all the rest of it. But Tom Hollander nails Capote. It is unbelievable
really
how
does.
good he is.
He is real. This is a movie that's going to finally give him all the accolades and stuff he deserves.
Yep.
And you know, you go back, and because of this, I went back to look at Philip Seymour Hoffman, and it's a much different Capote there.
Yes.
You know, it's a very
Terrific.
serious Capote. He's going to interview this guy in jail. It's, you know, about the writing in cold blood. And, you know, this is kind of like the high society Capote, the very whimsical sort of guy, who would tell he was they invited him to parties to tell stories,
Right.
and the way he would tell stories is just unbelievable. And you don't get that with that. Or there's another one called Infamous with a great actor named Toby Jones, who again I wish he would get the sort of recognition he deserves. But Tom Hollander really takes this character and does things with it that nobody else has done before. And when you go back and look at the Lost Tapes, Capote, the Lost Tapes, which is also on Hulu, it's like, man, this is Capote. Capote's been resurrected.
You're right.
Yeah, it's almost
You're right.
scary.
Yeah.
Well, by the same token, though, you got Annette Bening and Jodie Foster and Nyad just nailed it. They were both phenomenal.
Oh, and that's why it's great having that real footage, because
Yep.
you see those people. It's like, oh my God, this is the casting is amazing. Because you're watching the story and it's like, okay, well, obviously you got to get somebody to resemble Nyad, but yeah, I guess it makes sense that you just happen to be lucky enough that Jodie Foster looks like her real life trainer.
Yeah.
It's so great. It's so great. I love her so much. She is just nailed everything, and a great director too. I mean, she really is multi-talented.
One thing that's kind of sad about that, and Catherine and I talked about it about, I don't know, 1/3 of the way into the movie. Every great achievement like that, and I mean every great achievement like that, is driven by misery. Isn't that sad?
Well, yeah, you're running away from demons, I guess.
Yep.
I guess
No
that's the
question
whole
about
thing
it.
with acting too. I mean, not with every single actor, but certainly the whole idea of taking a break from yourself and being somebody else has to be
Yes.
appealing to somebody who's
Yep.
been damaged in the past. Some aren't. Some are just natural at I don't know. You wonder what sort of hole that everybody has in their soul that makes them want to act.
Oh, yeah.
So
There's
yeah,
no doubt
it's
about it.
true. It's very true. And talking about her demeanor again, Catherine, it was really just about her, all about her. And Jodie at one point
Yeah.
said, "Hey, wait a second here. I've been with you this whole way. It's never been about me at all. But hey, I'm here too."
Right.
So that's what really balanced the story out. They could have just made it this 2-hour long feel good thing, but no. I mean, it's kind of a warts and all telling of these people that they could be jerks and everything, and we're confronted as such, like by Jodie's character, and it just was a great movie that really didn't quite get all of the recognition it deserved. I mean, again,
Right.
those are big nominations. Don't get me wrong with the acting.
Sure.
But it really deserved more. And one movie and we haven't talked since you've seen it. I mentioned it to Tom briefly last Friday, Catherine. American Fiction.
Oh, God.
I'm
How
drawing a
brilliant
blank.
of a movie is that?
You're drawing a blank on American Fiction?
I am.
You loved American.
Jeffrey Wright. He's the author.
Oh yeah. Yes, I
Oh,
love
my
that
God.
movie. That's a great movie.
Fantastic.
That's a really good movie.
It was nominated for a lot of Oscars, but it actually won like an Independent Spirit Award last weekend. So it's a sort of movie. I guess sometimes the big win is the fact that these movies are nominated and they kind of bubble up to the top, so people in the public eye, they can see them and know, oh wow, that sounds interesting. What's that about? And that's the big win for them, is to get the work seen.
Sure.
Not necessarily the awards that come along with it. But I wouldn't feel bad if Jeffrey Wright won Best Actor. I wouldn't feel
Oh,
bad.
God,
Yeah.
Sterling
no.
K. Brown. Sterling K. Brown is so freaking hilarious in this movie. Oh, everybody's great. Everybody is great in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
For Andy and Alex, if you haven't heard of American Fiction, it's about a black man in America who writes a book claiming, because he hates the fact that you're either treated poorly because you're black or treated better than because you're black. It's never right down the middle. I mean, it's just a brilliantly written movie, very well acted, and he nailed that role.
Oh,
He did.
yeah. It's amazing. It's just one of those wonderful surprises when, because you see it and it's like, okay, nominated. A lot of times, people, they nominate films that people have never heard of. And sometimes you look at them and what is it called? Anatomy of a Fall. It's nominated for Best Picture, Best Actress, and all that stuff. And it's like, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting
Yeah.
why.
Yep.
I mean, it's a good movie, but then you get something like American Fiction, and it's like, yes, this
Great.
deserves the nomination. This belongs up there with all the best movies of the year, and it truly is.
Well, and it's so nice to see an original story for a Switch, because so many movies have been redone with black people in them, and it's like, well, that's not really an Oscar thing to do a redo, you know what I mean? But this is an original story.
Yeah, it's great.
With, real characters. It just felt like great writing. It was just all good.
Oh, yeah. And this Cord Jefferson, that's his first picture that he directed. And he wrote the screenplay.
Yeah.
And
great.
wow, what an amazing debut. And I do believe the Directors Guild honored him for that, too. So, the film is getting, and it really shouldn't be about the awards anyway. I'm kind of bumming out because the Screen Actors Guild gave out their awards last weekend, and Cillian Murphy won for Oppenheimer, which is hard to argue. But Paul Giamatti has won pretty much everything up to this point. It's like, oh man, the guy's been around for so long. He's terrific in The Holdovers. He deserves it for The Holdovers, but sometimes you just come up against that competition where Oppenheimer's going to take everything. And
Holdovers was a really good movie too.
Oh yeah. It's a great year for those sorts, smaller movies.
Yeah, I think everybody's hungry for an actual real story instead of some warmed over thing that's been done so many times.
Well, that's what I don't get about the whole Oscar thing. They do raise the profile of these smaller movies, but then those are a mere handful. Then the rest of the year they're dedicated to just making the big budget,
right?
Hundreds of millions of dollars. That again, it's getting to the point where it's impossible to make your money back. So why do it? Why not concentrate on these smaller movies again?
They've been, I tell you, we're in a very hot period. I've seen so many things in the last 3, 4, 5 years that I thought were fantastic. And you look back at the Marlon Brandos of the world and the John Waynes of the world and all those big movie stars and all the rest of it, they were phenomenal. These people are people you've never even heard of, and they just nail it. It's great that acting has taken another step forward. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Mike wants to know if you have seen Masters of the Air yet.
No, Mike, I haven't. Actually, Tom texted me and said, what was that Apple TV show? And Mike, I do remember because I told Tommy in the text, yes, Mike from Blaine said Masters of the Air is on Apple TV Plus. So I told Tom that. So I recommended it to Tom, but I haven't seen it.
Catherine's watched it.
We saw an episode, and Tom is just a war movie.
I'm not big on war movies.
And I like war movies, probably because my dad was in the war, and it's kind of part of who he was. So I like war movies. I don't know why. I mean, I guess it always reminds me of what happened. So I mean, why we have freedom is because these people went and did this, and it's just amazing to me that you can talk people into doing it. In the first place, and what kind of system we have that makes people go to war. It's pretty fascinating to me.
Well, one thing that I will say, and I think there is at least one war movie that Tom was on board with in the last couple of years, 1917, where they followed the two British soldiers. It was basically the point of view all the way through one take. Not really, but they gave you the illusion it was one take. And what an amazing movie that is.
Yes.
So, and it's unique because it gives you an idea of what it was like for a soldier. You're looking at it from their viewpoint. So, yeah. I mean, there are certainly ones out there. And then, Kevin Costner, and I know Kristen has talked about this, certainly the grand ambitions to bring the Western back. And he's got two movies coming out in the summer, or like June and August or something like that. He wants to make it a 4-part deal. So I admire the fact that those movies still exist because they easily couldn't. But you need people with the clout to do it, right?
That's
Costner
true.
has the clout. Doesn't have all the money. He doesn't have all the money yet to do 3 and 4, but he certainly is a name that can get stuff made. And so we got to be thankful for that. That's for sure.
All right. Any closing words from the troop?
No, I'll talk with you on Friday. And what am I going to? Oh, Dune 2.
Dune 2.
Yeah, Dune Part 2. And all the critics are just loving the hell out of this movie. So it's like, don't do that to me. Don't raise my expectations. You don't want to do that because
That's
when the
true.
expectations are raised, and it's like, boom. But we'll see. The first one I thought was okay. I know Ralph Basham didn't like it at all.
Right.
So,
Right.
we'll find out. We'll find out. So we're starting to get into something that might rescue the box office, because the box office has been really, really terrible for 2 months of the year.
It's true. Andy, Alex, anything you want to get in at the end here?
Nope.
Can't think of
Can't think
anything.
of anything.
I have one other thing to add. Last week, of course, I couldn't do the show because I talked with Adam Sandler.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
And like he did the first time, 26 years later, I was wearing my Viking. I'm not wearing it now, but I was wearing my Vikings hat, and I pointed that out. Since he was a kid, he followed, and he named them all: Chuck Foreman, Fran Tarkenton,
Oh, yeah.
Alan Page, and Jim Marshall.
Yep.
He said, I love the Vikings, the classic Vikings, because my dad did. And he was like big fans of all those guys growing up. And then 26 years later, he said the same thing. It was really cool, to know that. I wonder if he's ever discussed that with Swartzen, because isn't Swartzen, he's like a massive Vikings fan, right?
Oh,
Yes,
God,
he
yes. Yep. God, I haven't talked to Nick in about a year.
Really?
It's been about a year since I've seen Nick. It's been a while, but
I don't even know the last time I saw him.
yeah.
Since I only had 5 minutes, I couldn't even get that in. I was afterwards. It's like, God, I should have mentioned Swartzen's name, because obviously, he's a diehard Vikings fan. So, but you take the time you can get, and actually, it was Adam and Paul Dano together. So imagine that situation, trying to get an interview in 5 minutes, and they're screwing around with each other and all that stuff. But it was fun. It was fun. But it's always great to hear how people have love for the purple.
They do, all the way over in New Hampshire, so that's good.
Yes,
That's
they
where he
do.
grew up. He grew up in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Catherine, anything? Close?
I got nothing.
All right, that is going to do it. We will talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Every time I hear the same, reminds me how you talking.